Hello folks, and welcome back to the channel. This is part 5 of episode 28 of my creation kit series. Okay, I said in the last part that we were going to start on weapons. So we're going to do our bow. So I'm going to open this up, and then I'm going to go to my data files here in my demon glass armor. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to go to weapons. As you can see, I got the Dawnbreaker sword. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to make a cool Dawnbreaker sword, but that's not what I wanted. I want the bow because I'm going to do a bow. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to, with this mod, it's going to have a custom bow. It's going to have custom arrows, a custom two-handed ebony blade retexture, and Dawnbreaker as a custom weapon. So we're going to do the bow, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up that. Now looking at that, and that's 100%, I can tell right now that's a 512 by a 512. That's too small for what I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to resize that. Make sure your constrained proportions on, and pick Bubonics by Cubic Smoother for best for enlargement. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to enlarge that to a 1024 image, and I'm going to slap a quick sharpen on that to just sharpen it up a little bit. So I got this here, but there's a problem. It's green. I don't want green. And if I select this and then dump a color on top of it and layer and go down with the opacity, it's going to look wrong. So it's not going to look right no matter what I do. However, there is something we can do. You go ahead and go over here to your adjustments, and you want to go to black and white. And you go ahead and just make the image black and white. Just like that. And then you add a layer on top of it, and you'll be able to, well, you'll be able to change the colors here. I'll show you what I mean. Let me go ahead and get a piece selected, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And while I'm selecting this layer, what I'm using is the pen tool, and I'm just going around the inside edge of this, because you see this gray border. Now that border, what that is that wraps into the mesh, and you don't actually see that. You could actually select it all the way on the outside and put your color or your texture and cover the whole thing and not worry about the border. That wouldn't be a problem. But I'm just gonna do it this way, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna dump a color on top of it, and we're gonna adjust the opacity to make it what we want. That's close enough, and I'm gonna hit that. And once you do that, you'll get this line. Just right click, make selection, hit OK, and it is a selection, and it's on its own layer. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna dump a color on it. But I don't want to dump black because, well, I could. Let's give this a try. We'll go ahead and we'll dump black on that, and then on the layer, say I want to start with 20%. That makes it a little bit darker, and then over here in the opacity, you can just use your mouse wheel and darken it up and make it darker all the way across. Let's go for 75% or 70%. Yeah, 70% looks good. Okay, 70% looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to select all of, oops, I messed up. I'm going to go through and I'm going to select all of this texture that I can go ahead and deselect that. go back to my pen tool so I can zoom out. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select all of these things and make them all selections, except for this part right here, because this is what I'm going to put my blue texture from my armor in, and same thing here where there's that texture at. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get that selected, and then I'll continue on. And while I'm doing my selecting, I want to point out you can actually tell how the developers made this with the angles, because they use this same method, and you can see the angles and how the points are, and they basically used Photoshop to do exactly what I'm doing. So this is how this is done, like that, and you can see the angles are nice and straight, just like the developers. But one thing I want to point out is when you're doing stuff like this, this is the part we're going to add our texture into. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go here, but then I'm going to go and I'm going to slide over here, and I'm going to outline this, and I'm going to try to get it right on the edge there so it doesn't bleed into that part, because that's going to be that blue texture. I'm going to add a layer on with that for the blue texture. Now when you get up to like the curved parts, you just shorten up your path here, and you can actually make it look curved. You can use the Bezier curve if you can figure it out and you can get it to work. I personally haven't had much success with it, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it this way. As you can see, this here comes and it just kind of fades in. You can't really tell the background. So what I'm going to do is just to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and just start on the outside like that. It doesn't matter with the border. If I can see the border, but I'm just going to do all, because then if you get outside of the line, if you color outside the line, because some people cancel. If you color outside the line, because you know some people didn't do so well when they was a kid and they colored outside the lines, like me. There's a whole story with that my first cousin, but you can just delete the path by right clicking and delete anchor point. See, like that. Alright, I'll continue on. Okay, I have this all ready to be selected, and what I'm going to do, click, and I'm going to make selection, hit OK, and we got this selection here, and this is on this layer. I'm going to change to my paint bucket, and I'm going to fill it all in. And you'll see these parts here, some of them come over, but that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the opacity of the whole layer to 70%. That's what I'm looking for. As you can see, this here is darker. That's okay. That's not a problem. We'll fix that. And I'm going to deselect it just like that. I'm going to leave these dark, a little darker. Those are the bowstrings. So now what I want to do is I want to cut this part out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut that off, and then I'm going to go back to my pen tool, and I'm going to select this part right here. Okay, I've got this part selected right here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and make that just like that, and I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to, well, I thought I was going to cut it out, but it doesn't seem to want to let me do it. So, oh, that's because I have this, I got to put this layer, turn this layer back on. Now it'll let me cut it out, and as you can see, it cuts it right out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reselect that piece right there, and I need my demon glass texture that I made. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to grab my demon glass just like that, and I'm going to select all of that, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste that in right here. So what I want to do is edit, paste special, paste into, then I got the demon glass just like that. It fits right in there, no worries, no muss, no fuss. I'm going to add this demon glass here, here, and then I'm going to select this and I'm going to add the demon glass into that. And the reason I'm going to select this right here, because I do believe that's the handle of the bow. I want that demon glass color too. Okay, I've got these two pieces ready to be selected. I'm going to make them a selection just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste into, because I still have the demon glass on the clipboard. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste those in. Now, what I want to do is with these pieces, because they're smaller, that's okay, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hold Control, click T, then I'm going to hit Alt, I'm going to hold Alt, Shift, and then I'm going to shrink this down. Now I want to shrink it down a little bit, then I'm going to let go of my left click while still holding Shift and Alt and let go of everything, and it's good. I'm going to go to my mover and I'm going to move it across, and hopefully, well, what I can do is I can put this over here just like this, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it again so I can shrink this down quite a bit like that. I'm going to move it into place. I'm going to hit Control T again. I'm going to rotate it to get the kind of look I want, and I'm going to move it down again so I can get that little bit of texture. And while I'm doing this, I hit reselect. Oh, I guess I don't. I'm going to have to, what I'm going to have to, ooh, I messed up my thing here. There we go. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to reselect this and then paste in another piece of the demon glass. Okay, I got it reselected. We're going to go ahead and paste into special. I still have it on the clipboard. That's the demon glass. Hold Control T, go up to the corner, hold Alt, hold Shift, shrink it down, let go left click, let go everything else, and that should be about what I'm looking for. Go to my mover, move it into place, and I think I'm going to want to rotate it, so I'll hold T again and I'm going to rotate that just about like that, and that's good. Okay, we have that right there, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a layer down here right next to the little trash can thing. Hit add a layer. This is going to be named just like on my armor. I'm going to name that highlight, just like that, and I'm going to do some highlights in here. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to turn off the demon glass so I can see what's underneath of it, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on that, click on my paintbrush, I'm going to click on this, and what I want to do is I want to have this at 255. That was the color I was using before, so that's okay. Now to do this, you kind of need a steady hand. I got my paintbrushes way too high, way too big. I'm going to drop that right down. I'm going to put that on 3 pixels, and this is kind of steady hand work. And basically what I'm doing is I'm going to just go ahead and add this highlight in like this. This is just temporary. I'm going to do a better job than that, so I'm going to undo brush, but I'm going to highlight each one of these lines right here, and then what I'm going to do is add the glow to it like I did with the armor. Okay, I got all my highlights done, and now I'm going to go ahead and double click on the highlight tab to bring up this, and I'm going to click outer glow, and I'm going to click that out just like that. Now I realize that my highlight is actually a different color than the highlight I used on the armor, so in my armor, the highlight was this color. The highlight glow was this color, and now the highlight is that color. So I'm going to make the armor just a little bit different from the armor. So I'm going to go ahead and use this here and go ahead and set that all the way up. And I'm going to use softer. I'm going to put the pixels down to 3. I'm going to redo the contour to look a little different. That works right there. And I'm going to increase the range on it a little bit, or decrease it. Yeah, I'm going to decrease the range a little bit to 35. Looks good. 35%. Yeah, that'll look about like what I want it to look. And we'll go with that. Now I'm going to go ahead, hold control, and I'm going to select these layers here, and I'm going to go ahead and merge them up. And those are all one layer. Double click on that, and I'm going to add my bevel just like I did with my armor. So I come up to this, I'm going to inner bevel chiseled hard down just like that, and I want to make that degrees 37 because that's what I had on my armor and it looked good. Normal with not dissolve. That kind of looks, that looks alright, but I guess, but you know, you do whatever you want to do with it. And I'm going to make my glass contour not that. I actually like that, but it's too dark. That's about what I'm looking for right there. And I think I want to make the highlight mode, I'm going to take that down to about 45%. Right, that'll be good there. Okay. And that's what we got so far. But as you can see, I got my highlight, but my glass, I can't see my glass, so I'm gonna have to redo that. I'm gonna go back to this one. That one's okay, I guess. Really not what I'm looking for. I'm basically, I want to go through and I want to find a good one that I think the linear will be about what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go with that right there. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little mark with my brush tool, and I'm going to do it on the highlights tab, so I know where I can go back and I can erase it. And I think I'm going to do this little mark. It looks like right here. I'm going to make a little mark like that, and that automatically highlights, which is really cool. So I'm going to make that little mark for a reason. So I'm going to select all, copy merged. I'm going to go for a new file, and it'll say 1024 by 1024, correct. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a test. I'm going to flatten that out. I'm going to make a test texture file, just like I have most of the other times. And I'm going to set that for DDS and OK. And I'm going to save that. And while that's saving, it's saved. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up. What is this? Oh, that's that one thing. I was looking at a mod. We'll get rid of that. Go back to my desktop. And I'm going to open up data, meshes, weapons, and glass bow skinned. I'm going to open that up just like that. And I'm going to go ahead, if this works out, that little mark is going to tell me what I need, where I want to put my next little project here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my test texture on here. Yeah, that looks That looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and fill in everything else here right quick. And what I'm doing basically, I'm not going to save any of this. I'm just testing it out. So I need glass bow, and this is just retexture. And instead of the gold cube map in the armor, I got the ebony ore cube map. I'm going to stick that on there. And then my glass bow environmental map, which is in weapons, environmental mask. And yeah, that looks pretty tight. I'm digging that, man. I am digging that. That looks, I was right on that. That's the handle. That looks pretty awesome. And where that mark is, we're going to put some Daedric lettering. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close that right quick. And I'm going to go back to Photoshop. And where I put this mark at, I'm going to go back to my glass bow here where I put this mark at. I'm just going to go ahead and erase that. And I'm going to add some text. So I'm going to click on my text button. I'm going to start it out. I don't want it that big. And I have the Daedric. Where is it at? I have the Daedric lettering. And I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make it, I'm going to use this button here. This will make it do horizontal. So I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to figure out what I'm actually going to put on this. Okay, the word I used was Discordia, just because it's one I happen to like. I name my bows that a lot in game. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit Control T because I want to. First thing I want to do is I want to tilt this like this, and then I'm going to hold Shift Alt and I'm going to shrink it down to right there, and I'm going to hit that. I'm going to go to my mover and I'm going to fit this in right here. This could shrink down just a little bit more, so we're going to shrink this down just a touch, so that it says Discordia on it, just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so I can kind of move this around. And I don't want to, I kind of want to watch what I'm doing there, so I want to churn that a little bit more. That looks good. And then I'm going to put that right there. And on the text layer, it's kind of small, but that's okay. I'm going to put a bevel on it. Alright. And it's got a little bit of a bevel there. And I'm going to make the bevel down. I'm going to make it chiseled hard, just like the other one. I'm going to make this normal. Normal. Okay. And we got that. And while we're here, I'm going to add me an outer glow on this, and I actually like the white, but I can change that just a little bit. I think I'm going to go with a lighter blue on that, and that'll look good just like that. Now on the highlight, I want to put the highlight down to about 30%, and we'll go up a little bit on that, and we'll put it at let's say 45% on the opacity. And layers are good. That looks good. I might want to drop the opacity on that down to let's say 80%. We'll go a little lower. 60%. Still a little too much. And I think maybe 50% about. Oh, come on now. Don't. I'm talking to my programs. You tend to find out you do that a lot. Talk to it. I don't think I'm the only one. Okay, on my outer glow, that's great. And maybe just because I'm a kind of funny like this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in a drop shadow. Normal, and I'm going to make the size 1 and distance 5. I'm going to click off the layer knockdown thing, and I'm going to find something that brings that, sets that text out a little bit more. That ought to do it. And I'm going to change the angle on it so that it, oh, you see, now here's the thing, I'm seeing changes in my, changes in everything, but that's okay. That's okay. That kind of gives me what I'm looking for over here too. So that looks like it's about done. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save as, and I'm going to go up to my PDS files. I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to select all, copy merged, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste that right on top of there. Bang. That puts that right in there. That makes that lettering glow and stand out a little bit more, I see. Okay, I'm going to drop that to flatten image, and I'm going to save that on my temporary texture file. This one's a little longer than the last few videos I've done on this. Okay, I got that part done, and let's go ahead and go to our folder and bring our bow back up. And I'm going to put this texture on there. We're going to go ahead and start here at the bottom because this is a good place to start. And I'll give it all a, no, I don't want that. I clicked on the wrong thing. I want the glass bow end. There we go. And my cube map. Grab my cube map out of here. And finally I'll put my texture on. Let's see that right there. And bang. It's got a little, just a couple little marks there. Just looks like a little bit of scroll work. It just kind of, it doesn't stand out a whole bunch, but it stands out enough. I seen something else. The back side of the bow's got that right there. That's okay because when you're holding it, you'll be able to see this part here, and then your hand will be wrapped around here. This'll look, I think this will look really cool. So that's all I'm going to do with that. And I don't need that, so I'm going to drop that. And I'm going to close that right there. I'm going to close this. I'm going to close my demon glass. I don't need this. This has been saved. I'm going to close that, drop that down. And I'm going to pull up my folder here. I'm going to go into my textures, weapons, and just the same thing with everything else I've done in this series. I'm going to copy the name. I'm going to rename this temporary texture file. It's going to be the glass bow, and I'm going to just drop it in here and copy and replace, and that's done. Alright guys, that was part 5 of Creation Kit number 28 on how to make custom weapons and armor. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to retexture the rest of everything I need to do, and we are going to, in episode 6, we are going to start on the actual work in Creation Kit. Thanks for watching, and remember to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to click that bell to be notified of new videos.